Everyone. So in this video, we'll discuss the psychometric process which are not general in nature. That means these psychometric processes are a little bit different from the regular psychometric process like sensible heating, sensible cooling, humidification and dehumidification. So all these general process, apart from these general process, there are some processes which are a little bit specific, which are a little bit more having a new features in it. So all such special psychometric process we shall try to discuss in this particular video. In that sense, the first one is the cooling and dehumidification process. Yes, you have the cooling and dehumidification process in case of your psychometric general psychometric processes also. But what is the new thing in this? That is, you have to understand. So what happens if I place a cooling coil like this uh, for a warm air? If a warm air is entering here, okay, it passes through a cooling coil and its temperature, what happens, decreases, correct, and it gets converted into cool air. So this is a normal cooling process. But if my surface temperature of this coil, that means Ts, the surface temperature of the coil is very much less than the dew point temperature. So if it is very much less than the dew point temperature, what happens? The warm air, the moisture content in the warm air gets condensated like this. Getting my point? The moisture content in the warm air, what happens? It gets condensated and water can be collected at the bottom. When your surface temperature of the coil is very much less when compared to the dew point temperature, then this phenomenon occurs. So your primary intention was to cool the coil, cool the air, is it? The primary intention was to just cool the air. But apart from cooling, if your surface temperature is less than TDP, what happens? You are getting the dehumidification process also. That means you are extracting the moisture content, you are evaporating the moisture content from the warm air also. That means your primary intention was cooling the air. With the bonus, you will get the dehumidification process also. When you will get this particular bonus process? When your surface temperature of the coil is less than your dew point temperature. So that is what it has been explained in all these content. Okay, the cooling and dehumidification process is represented as such here. Okay, so this is a representation in the psychometric chart. Okay, next. So that is what he has explained. In the above process, warm air at T1 enters the cooling coil maintained at temperature T2. So the coil temperature is T2. The surface temperature of the cooling coil is lesser than the dew point temperature of incoming air. Okay, that is what then only you can get your dehumidification process too while you are carrying out the cooling process. Under ideal condition, air leaves at T2. Okay, due to inefficient of the coil, this is if you have to explain here. So under ideal condition, it ends at T2. That means if you are cooling something, so this is the process, correct? This is the cooling and dehumidification process. If you try to plot on that axis which I have given in the previous video, so this would be the cooling and dehumidification process as it is. So 1 to 3, correct? So 1 to 2, sorry. So it must go from state 1 to state 2. But for the inefficient coil, for the 100% efficient coil, it would reach state 2, which is on the saturation line. This is the saturation line. So if it would reach the state 2, but because of the inefficiency, it will remain in the state 3 itself, not move further. So the actual process is going only this much, but for the ideal sense, it has to move from 1 to 2. Because of the inefficiency, it stops here. Okay, and so that is what he is explaining here. Okay, so the temperature at T2 corresponds to the point 2 on the saturation curve is known as the apparent dew point temperature. So this is nothing but your apparent dew point, or whatever the dew point temperature you are giving to the coil, that is nothing but the apparent dew point temperature. Okay. So next process, okay, the bypass factor. This is very important. So what it is, this bypass factor? So due to inefficient cooling, I have just stated, some of the incoming air does not come in contact with the cooling coil. So what happens? So this is your cooling coil air, not your cent percent of whatever warm is there. You will not get contacted with this cooling coil. Some of the air, it just slips away like this, correct? So that you have to account this all things in your calculation. So that's why your bypass factor is there. The factor which represents the uncontacted air is known as a bypass factor. So how much quantity of air it is just slipping away like this without touching the coil surface temperature, without touching the cooling coil. You have to without touching the coil, if it is goes directly without contacting it, then it is uncontacted air. Thus bypass factor is given by this particular formula. Okay, T3 minus T2, that is T3 minus T2. Okay, this is T3, this is T2, and this is T1, and it is T1 minus T2. So like this is your numerator and this is your denominator, okay, by which you can calculate. So you can use this particular expression in terms of temperature as mentioned here. You can use this expression in terms of specific humidity. You can even use this expression in terms of enthalpy also. So all the things it has common, which is 3 minus 2 in the numerator and 1 minus 2 in the denominator. So if you remember this particular thing, then the bypass factor you can calculate very easily. So what is T1? T1 is the temperature of incoming air. What is T3? It is temperature of outgoing air, and T2 is your coil temperature. Remember, the coil temperature is always specified with T2. Okay. So this is one of the special process. Now let us go for the another one. This is adiabatic humidification, which is the special process number 2. So what happens in this particular process and why it is made special? If the humidification is carried out adiabatically, then what is adiabatic? What is adiabatic process? Where your H1 would be equal to H2. So in the adiabatic process, your H1 would be equal to the H2. See, in this particular process like this, okay, this is humidification, correct? It is cooling and humidification process which comes in this particular direction, correct? It is cooling and the humidification process. So in this particular process, what happens, if you observe the psychometric chart, you'll come to know. So these lines would be the isoenthalpic lines. That means these are constant enthalpy lines. If it traces that particular line, then your process 1 to 2 would be become adiabatic humidification process, where H1 would be equal to H2. Okay, that is what he has been explained over here. Okay, so one we will call as adiabatic humidification process when the enthalpy at inlet and outlet remains same. That means it traces the isoenthalpic line in your psychometric chart, then it becomes H1 is equals to H2, then it is known as adiabatic humidification process. Okay. Next, the mixing process. This is very important. This process is important just because here in this process you are mixing the two different fluids. Okay, in this particular process, what are you doing? You are mixing the two different fluids together so that a new fluid comes at the output with different properties. Okay, so new fluid comes at the output. So for this particular fluid, which is indicated in red color here. So Ma1 is the mass of air, omega 1 is the specific humidity of this particular stream of air, and the TdB1 is a dry bulb temperature of this particular air, and phi1 is a relative humidity. Similarly, you can mention the data for all the things. So Ma2, omega 2, TdB2 and phi2. So when you club these two at this particular junction, that is at point 3, you will get what? You will get air which has Ma3 mass of air, omega 3 specific humidity, TdB3 dry bulb temperature, and phi3 relative humidity. So this is a general mixing process. The things you have to remember in this particular mixing process is these things. So these equations are very much important. So if you make an energy balance, then mass flow rate into enthalpy at the inlet must be equal to your mass flow rate into enthalpy at the outlet. So this must be equal to this. So that is what is being written here. If you are making a mass balance, then the mass flow rates at the inlet should be equal to mass flow rates at the outlet. This is how these equations come. And if you are undergoing a moisture balance, the moisture content at the inlet must be equal to the moisture content at the outlet. This is how this particular equation is being formed. Okay, so similarly you have other equations also for the mixing equations. Suppose you are mixing a fluid with Ma1 omega 1 and Ma2 omega 2, then what would be the omega of your mixture? If he asks in the question, then you have to use this particular expression. If he has asked what is the enthalpy of the mixture, then you have to use this particular expression. If he has asked what is the temperature of the mixture, then you have to use this particular expression in the problem. So all these equations would be very, very important to understand and do your problems very easily. Okay, these are all the specific processes.